Hello and welcome back to The American Individual. I'm your host Dylan, and today we have a new video for you guys. In this video, we're going to do a bill review. This time it is of the recently rejected Senate border bill, also known as the Emergency National Security Supplemental Appropriations Act. Before we get into the video, make sure to like and subscribe, as well as check out the merch store if you want to see this channel grow and improve. But anyways, let's get into the video. So to start, this bill was recently rejected by Republicans because of many reasons, but hopefully after my analysis, you will understand why it's been rejected, as well as kind of have a general understanding of what's in the bill. This video is to educate you, the viewer, and help you understand why the media is always a lying bag of snakes. So recently this article from AP kind of smashes on Republicans for their apparent inability to compromise in order to support sending more money to Ukraine and Israel. But the bill itself would actually increase spending by many billions of dollars. There are three things that it's kind of going to, at least from a funding perspective, and that is the military, which is Ukraine and Israel, as well as the southern border with Mexico. The bill is split into three divisions, the first being Division A, National Security Supplemental Appropriations Act 2024, and the second division, B, Border Security and Combating Fentanyl Supplemental Appropriations Act, that's a tongue twister, and last but not least, Division C, Border Act. So let's take a look at the first section. So in the first division, most of this is towards military funding. So this is military funding for personnel, maintenance of the military branches like the Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, Space Force. A large portion of these funds are actually going towards procurement, which is getting new stuff because, well, what happened with the war in Ukraine and the war in Israel is we sent them our stuff, and now we're just going to pay Raytheon and Boeing for some new stuff. They're also going to put millions of dollars into military R&D, which is fun. I like new military stuff. Another section of the money is going to the Department of Energy for some nuclear non-proliferation, FEMA, which would get like $400 million and probably some more. The Departments of Health, and then it breaks down the details of the spending, and that's about 62 pages of this 400-page bill that I had to read for you guys. But Division B, aka the Border Security and Combating Fentanyl Supplemental Appropriations Act, just really rolls off the tongue there. This section of the bill would provide $400 million to legal teams to process illegal immigrants. It would also allocate funds to other agencies like the Border Patrol, FBI, training facilities, different things like that. So far, nothing on actually closing the border, but this is probably more about just funding different things. But there's a short stint saying that we can use some of the funding on parts of the wall, which is neat. But this section was fairly short, but now we're into the meat of the bill, which is like the last 300 pages. So I'm just going to give as many highlights as I can because I don't want to make this video like an hour. So Division C, the Border Act. And in these sections, I'm going to kind of break it down. So in Title I, Chapter 4, this section kind of talks about modernizing our systems, which I think actually might be some good things. There's some good stuff like online court notices, but also some bad stuff like getting rid of the whole detainment part of people who come into the country illegally. So it's essentially what is known as catch and release. So anyone who says they feel scared and persecuted from their nation, even though they were just living in a crappy country, can come up, say, I felt scared, get processed, and released back into the nation. And it doesn't matter if they were a gang member or anything else, because we don't even ask. Now, Section 3316, this part would allow the president to sanction nations with known fentanyl tracking, which is actually a good thing. Now, if the president did it, because it's like China that's doing most of the fentanyl shipping, maybe, but it's a good part of the bill. Section 3322, in tandem, this section actually requires a port on the fentanyl being trafficked specifically from China, and this is going to be reported by the Secretary of the Treasury for some reason. Chapter 3 of this same division goes into much detail about helping out Afghan allies as far as granting asylum to these people, citizenship, and I don't know how I feel about this. I think it's probably good to help our allies, but If they want to contribute to our society, great, but if they just want to freeload, get them out of here. Now, Title IV, this section goes into detail about granting more visas, which is could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. Talks about offering a citizenship path through the military, which is a good thing, and some other things on like family visas and having visas if you were like your parents were in the States and different stuff like that. Just a lot of stuff on visas. 3605, and this is the last section that I'm going to talk about, but essentially this section defines using our parole officer resources in order to keep track of all the illegal immigrants that we're just releasing into the country. After reading this bill, I'm a little tired, but it was a lot. I hope you guys are all happy and thankful that I spent probably 2 to 3 hours reading this bill the past few days, just trying to make this video for you. But overall, my analysis for this bill is probably a whopping 2 out of 10. As you all know, I'm a fan of page limits. I think maybe 10 pages would probably, be the most that I'm willing to accept from a bill. Like 400 pages is just way too much. Like, just split it up, have multiple bills. Like, it would be great. It's like, oh, we're going to vote. Can the president sanction China on fentanyl trafficking? That would be great. I also think that this bill is so out of touch of what America wants. 20% of Americans are concerned with immigration and 21% are concerned with our leadership, according to a poll from Gallup. And this bill just highlights the failures of Republican and Democrat war hawks to agree on anything that they actually want, right? We're sending billions and billions of dollars overseas to fight Russia and Ukraine and Hamas and Israel, and people care more about the millions of people that are flooding over our border this right now. We're sending billions of dollars overseas to fight wars we really have no interest in, depleting our own stockpiles just to spend more money by buying more weapons and machinery from Raytheon and Boeing. And the border parts of the bill address slightly the fentanyl issue that some people are concerned with, but do nothing to improve the processing of our immigration system at all, where we're just letting people in through the catch and release, and it just allows people to flood into the country with no real accountability. We also don't really vet anyone that we're catching and releasing into the country, so terrorists or criminals could just walk right in. Again, what I think we need to do is pretty clear. We need to finish the wall. We need to close the border for at least 3 to 6 months, maybe even a year, and figure out our processing system, what we're going to do. There's so many people right now just flooding in. We need to close the border, and we also need to build up our own military again, because we sent all of our stuff to Ukraine, but we also need to let Europe kind of do its own thing and build up their own military. Maybe they can start contributing to NATO for once. So overall, this bill is not great. Like I said earlier, it's a 2 out of 10, but I'm glad this bill failed. I hope I informed you on all of the negatives of it, but there were some positives that could probably come back in a future bill. But just so you know, just don't blame Republicans for not pouring more of our money on fire, like putting it on fire. Like, there's no point to this bill. It's not good. It's just a bunch of political heads in Washington trying to spend more money on wars we don't care about, as well as not fix problems that we do care about. Thank you for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more content, as well as check out the merch store if you want to see this channel grow and improve. But most importantly, have a good night.